Tell me why I should give you my money.
Our team is fantastic. We've all worked for very big companies. We're the only company that is positioned perfectly between Roblox and Minecraft. We'll have a very similar valuation. We'll have a very similar user base. We have a very attractive valuation at the moment. Right now, we have a valuation of $12 million. The types of multiples we're looking for an acquisition or an IPO are 20 to 100x of what our current valuation is.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our final AMA before the conclusion of our Republic crowdsourced campaign. We are here with CEO Grant Anderson and COO Donald Bland. Let's start by just getting a general update on the application, on the Republic raise, and anything else you might want to add before we get right into the questions. So go ahead, Grant. Let us know how things are going.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll start with overview of where we're at in terms of the product. So, for those who are just joining us, we did an amazing Kickstarter in 2022. We got almost 4,000 people and $500,000 invested there. And got a great group of beta testers that form the basis of our community, which is now over 20,000 members and growing. We opened that up to their friends and family, and then into open beta where we're at now on iOS and Android. We just released new versions of the apps yesterday. It has a bunch of improvements. We've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up as well. In addition to, we are launching on Steam on May 1st, so a week from today, on Wednesday, May 1st, and that will be for PC and Mac. So our whole thesis of crossplay is coming into focus, where you can play on iOS and Android or PC and Mac. And then, of course, it's all built for the ground up for spatial computing and headsets. So we're starting to move into that as well, which I think we'll talk a little bit more about later on. So lots of really great stuff coming up, including our announcement of Fallout. So we're going to be bringing the Fallout Factions franchise along with Modiphius and Bethesda to our platform. So we'll be able to play that coming up soon. So lots of really cool things coming up, lots of great content, lots of great app updates and new platforms as well. So it's kind of the product update. Don, you want to talk about the race?
Yeah, so we are going to be closing in the next couple days, in about 3 days. It's been a great opportunity for us to open up a little bit of equity for our friends and family and people who are new to Mirrorscape. So essentially, we've raised north of $225,000. We are excited to be able to offer up that equity to people who like our product. We are looking to sign 2 contracts with big strategics here in about the next 8 weeks, which we think will be a big boon to everyone that's just invested in us. So stay tuned for those announcements coming up soon.
Awesome. Yeah.
So to be clear, I think let's be clear on the date. So I think the close date is the Friday the 26th.
There we go.
So I think it's over 48 hours, I believe. So like closer to 60 hours. Grant, you mentioned cross-platform, and I know that since the genesis of this project, cross-platform has been a central theme and a focus for the development. Why is that so important to you, and do you see Mirrorscape being as cross-platform as it is as an advantage over some of the other competition that might just be on, let's say, PC?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the idea is to be able to play when and how you want, right? And so I always use kind of the analogy, like I'm a Mac user and an iPad user and an iPhone user. So there's a software called Affinity Designer, which allows you to create all kinds of layouts and stuff. It's kind of like the buy once version of like Adobe Photoshop, and it's a great software package. So kudos to that team. But I often design things on the computer screen because you've got really nice, lots of like good screen real estate and key commands and a mouse to be able to do all the design work. But then you're on the go and you can open it up on iPad, and then I can make tweaks and adjustments and all of that kind of stuff, as well as it's completely full featured, but a little bit lesser screen size. And then if I'm out and about and I want to present this stuff to other people, you can attach your iPhone, and beam that up to like an Apple TV in a conference room or something, showing the whole design and stuff like that. So, it's really about using the device, the right screen size and the right device for the task at hand. So we want to be able to, give people the ability to, really build these huge maps. It's much easier with a keyboard and a mouse and a big screen, right? Or for DMs to run their streaming games or to stream, live stream shows from a PC. But then players, you might edit on the go, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, on a commuter, or something on your iPad, and then players may be on their iPhones. So we want to be across all that where people are, wherever people are playing, right? But then again, this has also always been built and imagined from the ground up to be on spatial computing headsets, right? Because the Holy Grail is reaching out and moving that piece with your hand, even if it's not really there, in stereo with lifelike digital twins that we're creating with our partners like Dwarven Forge and Reaper and Fat Jordan and all these partners. So the spatial computing really is kind of, again, the Holy Grail aha moment when you see that. But not everybody has those, and they're expensive, right? They're coming down in price. MetaQuest, 3 is really taking off. MetaQuest 2 is now $199. So really inexpensive for people to get into the hobby. They just reduced the price again this week. So all of that's very exciting, and it's built from the ground up to be able to utilize that. So now we're just working on taking everything we've done and moving into that, spatial UI and really making that sing. But we wanted to start with, what everybody has in their pockets already, which is their phones and tablets on iOS and Android, and now PC and Mac on Steam made for them.
Right. Yeah. So, like for me personally, I use the Steam beta to build my maps and to run my games. I've got a few monitors here set up, so I've got Mirrorscape right here and some info here, and my players all are at their houses. One's in London, one's in a different part of California, and they've got their iPads. So I'm moving the NPCs around. I'm doing my job as a DM, and then all they have to do is just use the iPad to move their minis and reference it to see where the enemies are or where the NPCs are. And even if there's no combat happening, I find that just loading up a setting where my players are really helps the immersion, especially when they're remote, and just in front of them, if they can look down and just see that their characters are in a forest, or if they're in a village, or if they're in a dungeon, it really does just help keep people in the moment, keep people in the game without adding
Especially
too
in
much
life skill
distraction.
mode.
Especially in life skill mode. Yeah, I haven't had my players go outside and run around in the field just yet, but we'll see if we get to that. Don,
Well, I think it's right. Like when we were running games at where were we? GaryCon?
Gary Con,
GaryCon,
yeah.
one of the cons. GaryCon, Death House games, right? From the Curse of Strahd Death House. And it was interesting watching players jumping in and out of AR or jumping in and out of POV life scale mode as the DM was describing the room, right? You can actually look around and see what it looks like. So, people are really digging that. So yeah, that's a really interesting use case. Even if you're not doing combat, it's just setting the scene, telling the story.
Absolutely. Don, you had kind of briefly mentioned it earlier. One of the questions we have is that we did we set a fundraising goal of 1.34 million. As of this moment, I think it's up over 220,000 or so. What does that specifically mean for the projects, the investors, the future of the company, where this allocation goes if it does not sell out here or it does not fill up here on the Republic campaign? Could you explain a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, of course. So we opened up an instrument for a $12 million post-money safe. And so we allocated essentially about 10% of the company to be available for this raise. As we go through and we say, okay, so we reached a certain percentage of that goal, the rest of that potential equity will just be reallocated back to the company and available for future investors.
Got it. Great. So whatever's left over can pretty much be invested in by VCs that may be in the gaming industry or in the tech industry, and that allocation maybe will help us open up some new doors to customers and opportunities.
Yeah, so there's several VCs that we like and like us. There are strategic angel investors that are very high profile that really like what we're doing. And then there's also strategic partners, right? That we provide a really immersive technology play for their products. So essentially those types of investors are the types of investors that will be moving forward with us.
Very cool.
And we should also note that there are some emails that are going out. Republic's a little strange in the way it works sometimes. We have raised some outside funding, which is counting towards the goal, so over $100,000 there. So I received an email today saying, "Oh, we've raised 130,000 when I actually have 230,000." So depending on the email you get on Republic, it may or may not include that. It's very strange, but if you go to the master page, you'll see that we're approaching just over $230,000.
Great. Awesome. One of our users invested $250, which entitles them to some digital benefits, including 1,000 R-Coin for the in-app purchases. When can that user expect that R-Coin, and how are they going to redeem it? Do we have that process worked out yet? Are we figuring it out? Is it something we have to work with Republic on?
Yeah, we just actually were in touch with Republic, and it looks like we got an email back. So it's similar to how Kickstarter and BackerKit work. So we should be getting at the end of Friday, when all of this is closed out, a list of all the investors, how much they invested, their email addresses, and so forth. And so what we will be doing is emailing out a redemption code that you can just go in. You'll go to mirrorscape.com/redeem, and you'll plug in that code after signing into your Mirrorscape account, and then you'll get those R-Coin deposited into your account.
A very simple, seamless process that we have refined over the last couple of years.
I do know that we've done that redeem process with the different Kickstarter bundles with the different assets, and it's gone pretty smoothly. So I can imagine adding the R-Coin to your balance will be just as seamless.
Yeah, I would say give us a couple weeks at the close of the campaign, just make sure that we get all of the information from Republic and that we're able to parse it out and generate the codes and get them out. But should be pretty quick after the close of the campaign.
All right, very cool. Let's talk about some tech. In a lot of your recent media and the ads and everything we've seen lately, a lot of the people are wearing AR or VR goggles. Is that something we can expect soon? Is that around the corner? Is that something that's way down in the future? What are we looking at for a rough timeline on when people can actually get into these spatial computing units and experience Mirrorscape, even on like a basic level of looking around?
Yeah, so like I said, this has always been the goal, because it's the full expression of what we're trying to create, right? And it's built from the ground up. We use all of these frameworks underneath ARKit on iOS, AR Core on Android. We're in the Unity gaming engine, and so we're using AR Foundation and XR Interaction Toolkit and all these frameworks that let us build across these devices. So the trick is actually making it usable in there from a spatial computing interface, right? Like taking the interface off the screen, putting it into the 3D world, and enabling you to really manipulate stuff. So we, about a year or more ago, started working with Qualcomm. They have a Snapdragon Spaces developer program, and they had some of the earliest OEMs with AR glasses, like actually kind of lightweight pair like Dawn is wearing here today, more like actual glasses from Lenovo called the Think Reality glasses. And so we have demos up and running on that. And again, this is like, after 4.5 years of working on this and me just starting from a prototype, on my mother's kitchen table over Christmas, like 5 years ago, it's always been, in my head, what's it going to be like to be able to reach out and grab that piece? And so getting this on an actual, shipping hardware product and, on this platform where you can actually do that and reach out and we have that demo, it blows your mind. That's the magic, right? So we absolutely want to do that. Ironically, the easier part is actually manipulating those pieces in space because of what we've built with ARKit and AR Core. It's taking the rest of the interface, like being able to, manipulate your viewpoints and to take the interface off the screen and putting it in space. That's kind of the hard part, and making it, bespoke for the platform and really work the way you want. We actually, when the Vision Pro came out, and we're looking to come to Vision Pro as well, any iPad app in the store is automatically a Vision Pro app. So you can go in there and open up anything. Mirrorscape is actually in there, but it's not totally functional. And it's basically just your, like your iPad or your monitor screen in space. But you can actually look at the pieces and manipulate with your finger and grab and move them. You can't actually move the camera, and the interface doesn't all work, but I'm surprised by how much it did actually work. So really, the hard work is not the manipulating the pieces on the table, which you might actually think would be. It's actually getting the interface off the screen, all the rest of the bits, and making it bespoke and germane to a spatialized computing interface. So it won't take that long. We do have it working on other platforms. It's all about getting it working well on these other platforms. And there's anytime you move in here, even if you're using a gaming engine where you can, easily move code over and it supports buildings, all these different devices, there's still interface differences. And with the Vision Pro, for instance, there's just things that they don't support yet. They map all the stuff that you do in Unity to their own systems on the Vision Pro, like Reality Kit and Metal, their graphics API for speeding up graphics on their GPUs. And they don't support things like outline renders. So meaning when you select something in our app and you see an outline on the piece, they don't support that. So, okay, well, how are we going to support that? So all these little things that should be, fairly trivial, they all kind of add up. So it's like working through all that stuff. That being said, no, this is not super far off in the future. We want to be starting on these headsets like within the next couple quarters.
All right, very cool. And then the next thing that you have coming out is the Steam launch, and you've set a date, which I think is a little bit risky in this business, but where it looks like we're hitting. You said May 1st, is that correct?
That is a week from today.
A
This
week
is
from today, Mirrorscape will be available on Steam for the general public. Is that what you're saying?
God willing, yes. Yeah, no. I mean, the builds that we have are working well. We're adding really cool measurement tools to it. So in support of Fallout, where you need additional kinds of measurement, we really tricked that stuff out. So that's going to be amazing. We're just there's a couple final bugs to squash, and then yeah, it just needs to go in for review. Like any of the app stores, it takes 3 to 5 days for review, and then we're updating the storefronts with all new images. And Don is working on an amazing new video for Steam. So all that good stuff needs to be put in the store. Yeah, lots to do still, just bits and bobs of getting any release out, but the actual build itself is looking pretty good.
And to be clear, when it's available to the general public on Steam, it's still going to be considered in beta, correct?
Yeah, we're still at like 0.9, 0.78. And the reason for that is we're literally still in open beta. We have, several hundred people that have been testing. We had an earlier version on itch.io because that was an easier platform to release for, right? You didn't have to have reviews and all kinds of stuff, but it wasn't full featured, right? Like you couldn't buy Rcoin and other things through the store. So we really wanted to get a Steam release out, but you have to implement the Steam API and all of their storefront and all that kind of stuff. So it takes quite a bit of effort. But yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna hit it, and I think it's gonna be great.
Very cool. Speaking of, you mentioned Fallout. The Fallout stuff that I've been playing with and that people have seen in videos looks very cool. It's got these nice bright colors, which I think is awesome. It kind of like offsets some of the stuff that's currently in there. Uh, when are the Mirrorscape users actually going to be able to use these assets, these Fallout assets, and build their own wastelands or their own Fallout worlds or their own vaults? And what's the timeline on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a timeline. So basically what we're trying to do is bring out in 3 different phases or milestones, right? So given our current setup, what we're trying to do is bring in all of the minis and all the terrain that you need to play, or at least the starts of it, right? Like when you look at the physical Fallout faction set from the DPS, they've got the pack, the operators, the disciples. Those are the original mini packs that they're bringing out. We're going to be doing the same thing to make those sets, along with the starter set with the rules, and they include, cardboard terrain and actual measurement tape. But of course, we have all those digital tools that we're adding. So the very first phase is to bring the minis out and to bring out the additional tools that we need to play the game. For instance, the measurement tools that I referenced. Also support for tokens, right? Which is, you can you can become weary or exhausted. You have certain levels of harm that you get, on your minis before you die. Those kinds of things. So we need to be able to support those somehow. So we're creating this really cool diegetic meaning in world UI and menu system, similar to what we have now for deleting something or putting things in groups. that give you the ability to toggle on these different things that float above your minis. So you'll be able to look out at the battlefield and see the status of all your minis with these cool tokens that aren't around the base like they would be in a physical game, but because we have no physical constraints, are actually floating above your mini, which is going to be super cool. And all this stuff that we're doing for Fallout, we want to develop it in a way that we can bring it back to all of the other games that we support. So, for instance, the token system can also be used for conditions for your minis in D&D, whether you're poisoned or stunned or things like that. So, looking at other ways that we can incorporate all this stuff, going forward. So that's phase one is bringing all those tools out. Phase two is really we've been working on a new UI based on all the feedback that we've got in our closed and open betas, both on mobile and on PC and Mac, to reimagine the UI to make it more discoverable and much more easy to find things, everything much more upfront, and also a bespoke, built for phone UI, which I've been dying to get, and we just haven't had time to do. Right now, we kind of have a scaled down version of the iPad on there, which is not super usable. So really want to increase usability with the iPhone specific version of the UI. So all that's going to be coming in phase two, and then phase three is going to be all about automation of the game, bringing in the character sheets and your crew sheets for your models, and having automated dice rolls that check your abilities and roll the dice for you, because it is a bit complicated. It's not like especially like with Fallout factions where you're D&D you roll d20s. Fallout factions, you've got this pool of dice depending on what the stat is that you're rolling against, and then you have your luck dice and you put a certain amount in there and then you roll those and you have to re-roll things that are under a certain amount. So that can really slow down gameplay. So one of our benefits is it can automate that for you. Check your character sheet, you press the button and it rolls the dice. Of course you can do it manually if you want, but this can really help speed up gameplay. In addition to all the setup and teardown and having beautiful painted minis, lots and lots of benefits to playing in digital context as well. And you guys have been playing games. Why don't you and Don talk about your experience playing just so far with the platform and what we've got in there?
Well, while we talk about that, you keep talking about these beautiful minis that we've got coming up. Do you happen to have anything we can show the people right now?
I can show you.
Let me see.
I'm
going to give you focus here. There we go. All right, the focus is on you. I think you can share your screen, right?
Not letting me. Discord wants computer screen and audio. I have to go into settings. Hold on a moment.
Yeah, but Don and I, while you do that, Don and I have been playing a little bit and kind of refining what the what the essential features.
I'm gonna have to reopen. I'll be right back while you guys talk about that.
All right, we'll see you soon. Yeah, so Don and I have been playing with some Fallout assets and kind of figuring out how the rules will best work in our platform. I would say that one of the coolest features that we have right now, Don, is and what we've used the most actually is almost on every attack turn that we've taken, we get into our mini's point of view to see our line of sight, to see if we can actually see another mini across the board, which has been super cool. It's been super interesting to actually jump into the perspective of these characters and then see and utilize it in a way that we can actually see if we can hit or not.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing about tabletop gameplay is actually putting yourself in the line of sight or in the actual mini itself, right? And what we've done is really make that seamless and intuitive, and for you to be able to play these games as a virtual reality machine of your experience, right? It's putting you in the first person perspective of anything on the board.
Yeah, and not just how cool it is and how cool it looks, but the actual functionality of being able to say, yeah, I can see them. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest fights around the tabletop is whether or not you have line of sight on any other character, and this kind of answers that question once and for all. I can see his shoulder, I can see it right there, and you can ping it and everything. So I think that that's a really important, cool feature that we've been using quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So you guys able to see these minis?
No, we just see you.
It just still says watch stream, Grant.
Interesting. I just had it in there.
So at the bottom, do you see where it says share your screen?
Yes, I'm doing that, and I can see it on my screen. It says it's live.
One of the best parts about Mirrorscape is the ability to make a very intuitive software package that works with touch
Unlike Discord.
controls. Right? So we spent a lot of time and effort trying to get away.
Oh, somebody's
Oh wait, look at
passively saying
that!
she can
Look at
see it.
There we
that!
go.
There we
Press
go. Oh, I
green.
got it.
Sorry, there we go.
So I had to do some Discord dealies,
All
but
right, let me know if you
yes,
still see it.
we can.
Do you still see it?
I see
Yeah.
All right, because
a character wearing a beak with looks like a board in his
yes, so
hand and a
this
gun.
is one of the pack, which our expert painter Mike Capanow has been painting up for us. Just amazing, and like we're matching some of the paint work that they've done. Some people have done in the physical space, but they look just amazing, right?
Anytime I see color, I get all
So really
excited because
nice.
it looks
Show
so
you some
good.
more. Here's another one.
What I
I
love
love
about
the
this,
feathered pants.
if you buy the physical product, these are 20 millimeters high, right? They're very small. In our platform, you can make them life size. And I think that's such a cool aspect of what we do, is the ability to take the gaming from the tabletop to your living room or out into the world at large on basically any scale that you choose to play.
Absolutely.
And they're pre-painted, which is like what's so wargaming. The thing about wargaming, which is so hard, is like everybody. If you played a lot of war games, you see a lot of time they're all these like gray minis because people haven't had time to paint them, right? And so with these, you can just drop them right down on your table, and they're all pre-painted. You've got all these beautiful, colorful minis. Like these are super colorful. I love all the color on these guys. With their teddy bears all like
They're
embedded
just
in their armor. So those
psychopaths.
this guy's awesome here.
Oh, these are
This
fantastic. I'm very excited to get these in the app. And
yeah, so these are rolling off the assembly line about one a day at this point. Here we've got some operators, I believe. So this is a different style. Dude with a mohawk
yeah, that's very
and
cool.
a machine gun. Your average Wednesday afternoon.
Average Wednesday in the wasteland.
Toppers down there. We got some base toppers down here, which we started to add, which I love, which is cool, getting a little extra mojo to the bases. Here we've got a female operative.
Very, very cool.
But they're just turning out really amazing. So yeah, all these, we're probably got about 10 done or more. So I think we've got about we're going on 15, I think. So, like I said, rolling off about one a day. So
it's fantastic.
we're going to be done with the base apps in no time at all. So that coupled with, bringing in, how do I quit this? Stop streaming. Coupled with the tools that we're adding, we very quickly, bring the experience to Mirrorscape with the framework that we have and the platform that we have, and then with the hub, which is our integrated social network, people will start creating all these maps. So one of the things you do in Fallout Factions is you start as players together and you start building the map together, which is great for our platform because people love building together. So you take a big piece, I take a big piece, and we do that for like 5 to 8 big pieces, and then 10 to 12 medium pieces, and then a bunch of set dressing, right? And then you've got your battle map. But that takes time too. So if you just want to throw down and start playing, we're going to have dozens of maps that people are creating in the Fallout universe on our hub. You can just go on there, pick the one you want, drop it down, and you guys can start playing immediately. So that's another way that we can get you in the game really fast.
Yeah, and speaking of those beautifully painted minis, are we going to have a kind of like a system or a way for folks to paint their own minis if they have like a base layer? Is there going to be a way in the near future to color these minis the way we want to, or adjust the colors that are on them currently? What are we looking at as far as like custom paint jobs go?
Yeah, that's a big thing that people are always asking is bringing in their own material. So unlike other systems that are just PC, say, where you may have the firepower on your GPU to do that, everything that we bring in has to go through a process of decimation and taking it from these million poly models down to smaller models and painting it and creating textures. So it's not an easy thing to do. We're looking to a bunch of different ways to let people bring that in, scanning things with their phone, using AI. putting our pipeline on servers so that you can upload your stuff and have it processed and show up. So there's lots of different ways that we're looking for the future to do that. Right now, what we're doing is trying to bring really high quality minis, pre-painted, ready for you to drop down the table. But that's absolutely something that we want to provide, as well as giving users the ability to go in and take the minis that we have and repaint them themselves, and then provide those paint jobs for sale on our marketplace as well. That's always been a tenet of what we want to do, and it's just taking us a little bit of time to get there. But that's a huge opportunity, for our community, and also to take part of the marketplace, but also for the investors out there, because we want to be a big user generated content community, right? People are already creating all kinds of amazing maps on our hub, and you can go to hub.mirrorscape.com and see all the maps that people are creating. But in the future, we want to extend that to painting your own minis, and creating your own games and being able to create your own rule sets in a very easy manner. So we've got really great plans and roadmap to make that all a reality.
Awesome. Yeah. And so with this deal with Modifius, we're looking at Fallout, but they also have a bunch of other very cool properties. What does what is working with a partner like Modifius? What does that enable Mirrorscape to do? How is that beneficial for the future of not only the project, but just tabletop gaming in general? As Mirrorscape starts to land these really exciting partners on the scene, what does that mean for the future and the direction that we're going to take development?
Don, you want to take that one?
Sure. We offer a very dynamic platform for people who make tabletop games. And there have been certain partners that we have contacted that see the potential of that, right? When you make a physical game, from the economics of it, you have to build everything, you have to manufacture it, you have to package it, you have to ship it, you have to sell it to a store or sell it online. And that's a very cumbersome product. What we offer is the ability to have a very similar playing experience, but totally digital, right? And so Modifius and Chris Birch in general really sees the opportunity of having a product that is an extension of his games. That they create amazing games, by the way. I don't know if you guys play them, but to take that basically from inception to Mirrorscape is a very easy path. And so, the ability for us to be able to take these properties, put them on our platform, and open up, a whole new avenue of sales for these companies is beneficial for both of us.
Yeah, and I imagine that.
Yeah, and what we always do is, I'll go for it, Eric.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I imagine that the digital aspect of this is very enticing for these companies because, they can imagine something and they can build it in 3D a year before they can actually get that stuff made and shipped out and stuff like that. So even if like the physical assets haven't arrived yet to people's doorsteps, Mirrorscape gives those fans and those customers the ability to start interacting with that platform before it even shows up. So players can learn the rules. Players can actually play some sessions. Players can get familiar with the game before it even shows up at their game shop to play in person. And then that way, by the time the boxes arrive, people are already really good at it. People are already talking about it. People are already playing it. People are already reviewing it. And there's this whole hype machine that can happen digitally before the physical issues show up. Not to mention, we've had a great response from a lot of these companies saying that they're super excited and happy to be able to provide a digital version of their products because it lowers physical waste. It lowers shipping costs. It lowers a lot of these things that companies are concerned about.
The other part of that is, if you make a physical game, which some people love, right? You have to be in the same room to play it, right? And our platform solves that time and distance issue, right? To where you can have a lifelike.
Right?
Yeah, you have a very lifelike.
Yeah,
lifelike similar experience that you can be playing with anybody across the world. And that is a unique aspect of what we do. Other companies try and emulate that across a PC, or some of them do it across mobile using cards or things like that. But Mirrorscape is the really only solution that takes lifelike digital physical things makes them makes them digital, and then allows you to play in augmented reality on headsets, on your PC, across the world with anybody else. And that's, the unique prospect that we bring to not only companies like Modifius, but we bring to players that love our product.
And that's the beauty of augmented reality, is that, I always say that, we see the future as these devices get cheaper and the form factor comes down. I truly believe that this is the computing platform of the future, right? Is augmented reality. And there's lots of stuff in the press, Apple's Vision Pro came out and, oh my God, it's so expensive and it's, hurts my face or whatever. Like some of that stuff going on, which of course you're always going to hear, but no one complains about the capabilities, right? It is absolutely minority report when you're in there, and you can see that this is the future. So, as they work to get those down in cost and form factor, that really is going to be the way that, people spend their day, right? You're not going to be staring at your phone anymore. You're going to have these glasses on. But that also is the kind of the changing face of our world. Everything is becoming more digitized, right? It started with, movies and books and TV shows and media that we consume and all of these things. But everything other than what you sit on, eat, or be sheltered by is going to become digitized, right? And so now we're talking about physical objects and digital twins of things in the world. That's why this is like so important. Less waste, less plastic, immediate setup. You can play wherever you are, around the table or around the world if you're not in the same room together. And it looks and plays exactly the same as a real thing, right? And so that's really where we see the future. And we think Mirrorscape was perfectly positioned for that future because, we are going to be on these headsets. We're going to be completely cross-platform. We're working with the best, IP companies and with the best terrain and mini manufacturers. And we're making lifelike digital twins of this. And we can add that digital sweetening layer, what I call, which is, spell effects and sounds and different things that we're adding in without making it a video game, right? And still giving you the authentic feel. We keep using that word. Authentic is what we're going after, right? You can go on and there's obviously other ways to play these games online. It can be flat like this kind of Zoom call or Discord call or, whatever, but it doesn't have that authentic feel. And I think that's what Mirrorscape really brings to the whole equation. And so we want to work with these companies. The whole idea is to allow people to create their own games and bring homebrew and do all that stuff. But we're working with, really great established companies with great intellectual property and franchises like Modifius. They've got not only Fallout, Star Trek, and like all kinds of different games, bringing D&D 5e content, working with Pathfinder, bringing all those games onto the platform and showing best in breed executions of that, and then allowing people to bring and create their own games and minis and anything that they can might be able to imagine.
Absolutely. I just checked. So we've only had the Steam beta, the closed Steam beta up for like what, a month, maybe 2 months? Is it more than that? I don't know how time works anymore.
Usually 2 months.
A couple,
Yeah.
let's just say a couple months. I've got 247 hours logged in Mirrorscape. I am not the only one. We have Mirrorscape, and that's just Steam. I can't even imagine how many hours I've put into Mirrorscape, and it's not because I work for Mirrorscape. It's because I genuinely get in there and have a good time. If I want to relax, I build something. If I want to like engage in something, if I want to be creative, I build something. And like I said, I'm not the only one. It seems like people that do start building on this platform stick around. They enjoy the product. They build a lot of it. But what we're not seeing is a huge influx of millions of users yet. Would you say that's mostly because we're still in closed beta? Is it because we haven't really started advertising to the masses? Is it because we're still building? What would be your response to someone that's wondering why we haven't hit that critical mass yet?
I'll go with that.
I mean, I think it's all of that. What's that?
All right, go ahead. I was going to answer, but
I love that
Go
you
for it.
both have like answers ready to go for this. That's great.
There's also a slight delay, so sorry
okay.
guys if I'm stepping on you.
We're building a product for today and tomorrow, right? And so many companies just build something that's ready to go out of the box. And, like Grant alluded to earlier, we have spent a lot of time thinking about the future. And we're not building a gadget that will be obsolete in 1 year. We're not building a game that people won't want to play in 1 year, right? We're building a platform for entertainment. And we're evolving that product, how people are using it, right? And like you, Eric, I spend a lot of time in this digital world, whether it's on Mirrorscape or some other places. And I imagine that I'm only going to continue to do that in the future. And the more user friendly and the more tools that we open up will allow people to come in and start to use us as, to use a bad word, a metaverse product, right? Because you can literally create a whole world inside of Mirrorscape, and it's only what you want, and you can share it how you want. And that is the future of what digital play is the ability for you to make something that's totally unique to you, that you can share with the world, or you can keep it to yourself. And our product allows you to do that through a gaming sphere, whether you use it for RPGs or war games, or you just like to build. It's a product. It's an a la carte product of how you like to use it.
And I would just add to that software development is hard. It really, really is hard. When you get in there, like, it's really fun, but it's also really hard because each individual thing is not hard. But when you're working with this massive system of all these things that we want to do, and we want to do a lot, right? We want to be the default platform for the future of play, right? And so we're a great visualization platform right now, right? Where you can come in, you can network through people, you can play in augmented reality, you can play cross-platform with these lifelike digital twins of pieces that you use in real life, all these great things, right? But what we're still needing to add is, the rules reference and compendiums and turn trackers and things like that. And so that's the, stuff that makes the games more playable, more automated, more easy to keep the flow going. And so, those are the things that we're bringing in with Fallout and bringing back to, D&D and all the other games that we support. So it's just a process, and we have to go, down the roadmap and bring these things in. So right now we have the visualization platform. We're going to be bringing in all the rules and compendium and some really unique ways of interfacing with that using AI, not to replace Dungeon Master. The whole point of this, again, is, this is a passion project for us and for me, certainly, and for this whole company. And, I don't want to replace the human elements of it, right? It's about connecting with your fellow, with your friends and actually having a role play experience. So we don't want to take that away, but there's some ways that we can use AI to help speed up your game. So all of that kind of stuff, it just takes time. And so step by step, down the roadmap is what we have to do. And also, just back to your original question, yes, it's partly that and giving everybody the content they want to play and the tools they want to use. And also because we are still in open beta, and also because we have not done any advertising. All the over 20,000 users that we've got is all word of mouth, right? So people bringing their players telling other players, working through our partners, all of that stuff. So once we come into the 1.0 product this year, we're going to be making a lot more noise about it. But we just want to make sure that we have all of the things in there. We've also been receiving a lot of feedback from all the, 2 years that we've been enclosed and now open beta. Lots of feedback on what to improve. And so we've been taking all of that in and, really trying to make the experience, like I said, with this new UI refresh, much more discoverable and much easier to find things, much easier for people to get onboarded with the experience, which has been part of the problem, not knowing what to do when they come in. So fixing all of those issues as we get to the 1.0 product.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I've had regarding, the status of the platform and, the status of the raise so far. Don, if I were to ask you, like, okay, you've got 2 or 3 minutes. I'm on the fence about investing in Mirrorscape right now in Republic. In 2-3 minutes, we're on the elevator. Tell me why Mirrorscape is a good investment. Tell me what you feel like the future will bring for this company, and tell me why I should be excited, and tell me why I should give you my money.
I'd say, first of all, our team is fantastic. So we are all people at our team that have built very, very big stuff before. So this isn't our first rodeo. We've all worked for very big companies, whether those are game companies, whether they're media companies, whether they're VR companies, whether they're XR companies. We have delivered big products. And so this is something that comes very, very native to us. The second thing I would say is we're the only company that is positioned perfectly between Roblox and Minecraft. And we believe that if we keep building the product that we are doing, we'll have a very similar valuation. We'll have a very similar user base. We have a platform where people love to build, like Minecraft, and we have a platform where people are going to be able to design games very quickly, and that's like Roblox, right? And so, in between that, we have the ability to get you out in the world at large gaming, or playing on your couch, or playing on your PC, and we give the opportunity for people to really experience the digital world in a very tactile way, to use that word. The third thing is we have a very attractive valuation at the moment, right? And
It's sorry, you said it's 13 million or 14. How does that number work for people that aren't familiar with the investing world? A lot of these people in Republic have just this is their first foray into investing. Can you explain a little bit about like what that means by attractive valuation and what the numbers are and how all that works? Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that you're talking to people like me who aren't familiar. So I just want to make sure everyone understands.
Yeah. So, right now we have a valuation of $12 million. And, the types of multiples we're looking for an acquisition or an IPO are 20 to 100x of what our current valuation is. And so, the IPO route is probably a 10-year route, and the acquisition route is probably a 5-year route. However, this is why people love startups, is because when you find the right one and you find the right team and you find the right product, there's an incredible way for you to make money along with them. So, it happens all the time. You hear of the term unicorn, and that's a company that was worth $1 million at one point and is now worth $1 billion, right? And, that is a 1,000x return on someone's investment. And, it's what we're going for. We're not going to stop until we get there. We're highly motivated and we're incredibly determined. And that's what it takes to take something from an idea in someone's head to a product that people are using to a company that is worth $1 billion.
And so far, you've lined up funding from other companies that have done this as well, invested early on in projects they think are promising. So anyone that would invest on Republic, they're joining kind of a really good, solid group of investors that is pretty good at finding these kind of platforms and these projects early on.
100%. Our investors looked at what we were building early on and gave us their support. In 8 minutes, I have to go talk to one of them. But they're very smart. They're very good people. They are very interested in continuing to support us, right? They see the value in what their investment has brought, and their continued support will help us get to where we want to go.
That's awesome. I think we could probably wrap it up right there. Grant, you got any final words before we close it out?
Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, a passion project for me from the beginning, and I know for all of you coming on to this crazy journey. We've made amazing progress, and we have so much in store on the roadmap. Really exciting stuff, and we have such an amazing community out there. Eric, as you know, Eric is not only our host here, but is head of our community and has helped build this amazing group of people out there that have been following us since our Kickstarter, through closed beta into open beta across all these platforms and all the development. And they're like family now. And, they're just really, really amazing group of people who are now also, a lot of them are investors. A lot of them have come along for the journey here in Republic. So I'm just super excited about the future, really excited to get on these other headsets. Really excited to get Fallout out there. As we say, inventing the future of play, right? So it's people telling stories around the table, whether it be through games, whether it be through tabletop toy play. Our platform is perfectly positioned at this point in time for what the future holds. So we hope you all can join us. And thanks for everybody who has supported us to this point. And thank you to our amazing community. And thank you to you guys and every member of Mirrorscape, who is an amazing team and continues to astonish me every day. So thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the AMA. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. You can ask in the comments. You can join the Discord. You can email me. I will reply as soon as I possibly can. And yeah, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun. And we're always around. We're building, and we're excited. You got about 48 more hours to contribute to the Republic campaign if you'd like to. And we hope you do. We're here for the long haul, and we love what we do. So help us keep doing it forever.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Take it easy.